Good evening, everybody. I am Adam, joined by Charlie, aka the FF Toilet Ninja. Charlie, what's happening?
Hey man, how you doing? Just hanging out down here in the South.
Good. You get your future Georgia Eagles Super Bowl champion shirt on
Absolutely.
because the
The
Philadelphia
20
Eagles just continue to want to rebuild the dominant Georgia defense.
got the 21 and the 22 there on the dog tags. I love it.
Very, very nice. You're looking at a 23 to that too.
Probably not. I'd like
No.
to. That's not going to happen.
All
Hey
right.
man, not
Well,
with
we're
that
gonna.
offense. Whew, terrible. It is terrible. Texas will eat us for lunch.
Brock
Ugh,
Bowers, though, from what I
ugh.
keep hearing, is one of the best tight end prospects
Hey, that's
ever.
one to watch. Yeah, Dynasty, that is one to watch. I will be grabbing him where I can.
I mean, look, Sam Laporta, that's what
That's
we
my
call a professional tease. As you can see, Charlie's face over here is just absolutely losing it because we will be talking about Sam Laporta today, especially a lot of the Detroit news came out today. You are going to have to be by your computer on Sunday morning when those actives and inactives reports come out. If Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we'll get there, if he's ruled out, it's going to change the entire slate.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get there, but you know, Brock Bowers, man. I mean, Sam Laporta is breaking everything from a rookie tight end for fantasy purposes.
It's
Dalton
great.
Kincaid isn't doing it. Musgrave's not doing it. Michael Mayer isn't doing it. But Sam Laporta may break everything we know about rookie tight ends for fantasy.
Absolutely. He is my shiny new favorite tight end. Definitely. The guy is great. I'm
Yep.
very excited for him this week too. But it's cool because you're seeing, I think, the dynamic of that position change just a little bit. And we've always been, relied on that old faithful for tight end,
Mm-hmm.
Tony G, Kelsey, you always go back to the well and stuff. But now it's getting a little bit more exciting because some of these young guys, as the college game starts to really, like, some of these better offenses start to really utilize the tight end in different ways, like the Dogs and a whole bunch of other teams. You're seeing these guys be more NFL ready, and that's adding a more exciting element for the tight end position, especially in fantasy, because I have Laporta in lots and lots of leagues, and I got him for a very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very good price.
Yes, for sure. So this is something I just want to point out because we're gonna get to this. Buffalo isn't on the slate, but this person from Facebook says, "What up, fellas? Tight end is one of the toughest positions to produce right away as a rookie." Exactly.
Absolutely.
Same thing. Wide receivers. Their boy Kincaid is starting to find his groove, though. Yeah. By the
A little
way,
bit.
if Dawson Knox is ruled out, I become very interested in Dalton Kincaid, a captain for the Sunday morning showdown game.
A
So
captain, really?
yes, Jacksonville
Okay.
apparently isn't good against tight ends. And apparently neither is Detroit, who we will get to that game. But so Charlie and I can do something a little different. Let's get right into DraftKings. We're doing something different this week. And again, this is a very laid back show. I'm hanging back in my chair. Charlie's on his couch. We're just hanging back, relaxing. We're going position by position this week. We're not going to go pick the games like we normally do. We'll still go over plays at the end, but it'll be very quickly summed up. We're not going to go over every single player here, but we are going to go position by position. And Charlie, for the first time this season, we get 2 games over 50 in a week. It's week 5, and it's the first time we get 2 games over a 50 total.
Right? And we've already had a game go over 50.
Yeah, we
That
also
was
had DJ
nuts.
Moore lose his mind last night.
Woo! Wow. That's probably the best game he'll ever have.
I had 2 captains last night, Brian Robinson Jr. and Justin Fields. That was it. Because I don't know where that Chicago defensive line came from. But they've been one of, if not the worst team against opposing running backs all season. And Robinson could have get. That's because Justin Fields was too busy chucking passes to DJ Moore, and they had to abandon the run.
I have a theory. I am 95% positive that the ghost of Dick Butkus got 3 sacks last night. I am telling you.
I mean, look, that could
That's
have
what
galvanized the
happened.
team. That could have
It's
galvanized the
poetic.
team.
It's poetic. Sports are poetic.
Fair.
And that's, I mean, you have something like that happen, your franchise storied guy, you know,
Mhm.
he kicks the bucket. It's like, yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
there in spirit.
rest in peace to Dick Butkus, one of the greats of all time in football, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Absolutely.
And let's just go right into it. The two highest total games on the slate are the Eagles at the Rams at a 50.5 over-under. And then we have the Chiefs at the Vikings with a 52.5 over-under. And guess what? And this is something we really haven't talked about to this point because we haven't had to. Both of those games are in the late window. So this is something where if you're playing on Sunday, I don't care what site you're playing at, you do not start counting anything until these games kick off. Because if you have a lot of PMR, you're going to have a lot of players from these games. We'll get to the Jets in Denver. We'll get to Cincinnati, Arizona. But Philly and the Rams and KC at Minnesota, those are the games. If there's a lot of PMR left on teams and you're winning a lot of money, there is a good chance you're going to lose money if you don't have any late game PMR this week. You want to have players in your lineups, especially because the two highest totals this week are in the late window. You want to make sure you have PMR, even if it's just a DeAndre Swift, a Kyron Williams, a Patrick Mahomes. If you have a Justin Jefferson, you're setting yourself up good if you did well in the 1 o'clock window, but you want to make sure you have exposure to these two games. Probably the Jets in Denver, Cincinnati at Arizona. That calf injury, man, for Burrow is really hampering that team.
Oh my gosh. It is terrible. I hate seeing it, man. I'm a big fan of Burrow. Like, not just for fantasy. Like, I like the guy. He's super talented. He needs to just get healthy. Let the man get healthy. That's it. That's all they need to do.
Excuse me. Yep. Well, let's get right into it. Excuse me. Again, Buffalo, Jacksonville at Buffalo is in London. That is first thing on Sunday morning. It is a showdown game. We are not going over that. If you have questions about that, reach out to us on Twitter at FF Toilet Ninja for Charlie, at WXFan21 for me on Twitter. Let's just get right into it. Arguably, two of the top quarterbacks on the slate, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, are the two highest priced quarterbacks on this slate. Mahomes is 8,200, Hurts is 8,000. They're both in great spots, but man, it is going to be so tough to get them in your lineups.
Possibly. You got to finagle some things. I have not set a lineup yet where I have Hurts in it, but I do have a lineup where I've managed to get Mahomes. Actually, I've managed to get Mahomes and two of our favorite running backs in that lineup. And I think that you're going to need to, this is one of the weeks where you really might need to pay up at quarterback in order to come out ahead.
Yeah, it's possible.
A couple of these guys, I mean, they just, oh my gosh. Patrick Mahomes is going to go up against Minnesota. That defense is terrible.
And Mahomes has no good wide receivers, so there's a trade-off.
Well, I think he's going to have one this week. I really do.
I don't know, man.
I think there's a nice little stack there that can help you get Mahomes in your lineup.
Yeah,
he's got Rashid Rice, who's cheap. So,
are people still talking about this kid?
Catch the balls.
Yeah, his name is Travis Kelce.
Somebody else has got to.
Are we really talking about Rashid Rice already?
Absolutely. Really? I think this
projected well in the projections that I'm looking in. Oh, his targets have gone up. Okay, 7 targets in week 3 and 5 targets in week 4.
Yeah. He's getting better every game. And this week is a great defense for him to go against.
I just don't think he's all that good, but we'll get there. I didn't see anything special on film coming out of college, but
His price
this is
this
now
week
we're
is
in week
like-
5. I start looking at 2024 stats. I'm assuming 2023 stats. 2022 is out the window for me. I go off of a 4-game sample size, so we'll get there. So Mahomes, again, going to be really tough to stack him, with Kelsey and then, maybe with Shee Rice. But even if you do that, Mahomes, let's just put in Rice and let's put in Kelsey. Yikes. And you want to, let's just say a Minnesota run back.
Hard.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, I would almost say throw Hawkinson in there from this game.
So you don't want to double
cheaper.
stack it then.
The thing is I would
That's more bearable.
Yeah, that's a little bit better because the thing is that Kelsey's price is so high. I think it's a really good idea to have Kelsey and Mahomes in your lineup.
Yep.
The problem is can you use the money you have left to get enough points to make those two worth it?
Well, that's the thing.
They're going to be good, but they're not going to carry you. There's got to be, a couple others. That's why I think, you can save a little bit of money at tight end and be okay this week. But I'm a huge advocate for having Mahomes if you can get him in your lineup. I also like Tua this week.
Yep. Well,
he's a little bit cheaper.
Mahomes and Hurts, I think it's safe to say if you can afford them, play them.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson, I'm not interested in. You?
No, not Lamar. Not this week.
Look, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, those games can be brutal.
Yep.
That is a very tough, one of the poster childs of this is a division rivalry.
Plus, I think it's going to be, if there's touchdowns, I don't think it's going to be him that gets them this week.
Yeah.
I think, right, and sitting right below him is Tua.
Yep. So let's talk about it. Tua's home against the Giants. Look,
man.
I know. I know. Against the Giants. Last week, he wasn't bad. 35 attempts for 25 completions, 282, a touchdown, had an interception, and a fumble. He wasn't bad. Buffalo's defense was just better. But he carved up the bad Charger defense. He carved up the bad Denver defense.
That's not even carving them up. He took a blowtorch to them.
Yeah, I mean, look, at New England, that's a very tough place to play for any quarterback. Any team, it's tough when you come into Foxborough to play against the Patriots. Patriots have a very, very good defense. I'm not going to say they're elite. And that was also, Patriots also now become a little bit less scary of a defense because they just lost Christian Gonzalez and Matthew Judon. So arguably two of their best stars on their defense. But so that's not surprising. But man, Buffalo. I thought that was going to be a much more intensive game from Miami. What the heck happened there from last week? Give me two in a bounce back spot here.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, man,
he's got a 30-point ceiling here at 7,100.
Something to play for.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm telling y'all, man, emotions and stuff. That's kind of stuff has an effect on teams and games.
Yeah, you can't. Emotion is something you cannot quantify. You can't back it up with stats.
But I can say this: Tua had a bad fantasy day last week, and it has something to do with some emotions, and that's not going to happen this week.
Bouncing back this week.
Oh yeah.
Couple of other plays here. Obviously, the other side of these games, right? If you're interested in playing Mahomes and Hurts, you should absolutely be interested in playing Cousins and Stafford. Stafford, who was 5,700 last week, went down 100.
Yeah.
He gets Cooper Kupp back.
There it is. He's getting his boy back.
And now with the emergence of Puka, who apparently, and I'll shout out my friends at the Raise the Roof Discord, the RTR Discord. Double J, I think, was the one, or going on. I think it was Double J, but someone was saying in chat last night, maybe it was JGN, one of them. Shout out, boys. that they were already planning for Puka to play on the outside so Cup can stay in the slot. They were moving him outside last week. They're already prepping for Puka to play with Cup. I think that takes away from Tutu, and that takes away from Higbee. And I think, look, Puka with 39 targets on the season, that's a little unsustainable in my opinion. But shout out to the kid. He looks really good. I think I saw Puka Nakua cards were overselling Justin Jefferson cards this week, the sports cards or something. So Puka madness is going crazy.
That's all right.
But
that's all right. Puka's going to lose some targets, though.
Philly, I don't think that defense intimidates me. Not in a game where you're in LA. The Rams are most likely playing from behind. Stafford's going to have the better game script.
Their pass defense is not nearly as good as what their run defense is this year.
Oh, no, that run defense.
Like, if you're going to
you added Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. I mean, come on.
That's right.
That run defense is great.
It's nasty, man. That's some dogs. It's nasty.
Yeah, so I think for me, Cousins, Stafford are absolutely in play this week. You want all sides of those games. Now, let's just skip around. I don't want to spend all day on quarterback. There's plenty of other positions we need to dive into. What are your thoughts on some of these other quarterbacks? Burrow is at 6,200. Man, against Arizona. In Arizona, by the way.
Hey, Arizona's feisty. All right. They're feisty. They beat Dallas. They're feisty. And it's just right now, man, the Bengals are kind of, I don't want to say that they are a train wreck, but man,
you're not saying they're not a train wreck.
Driving up to the station and really looking to buy tickets to get on that train. They really are. So I'm going to kind of shy away from paying money for Burrow until I kind of see it. I need to see it.
He might end up making my player pool. I can tell you who's not making my player pool is Richardson against Tennessee.
I'll have him in some.
Against Tennessee. I will absolutely play in Pittman, but I don't know if I can stack him at Richardson.
Yeah, I like Pittman.
Jonathan Taylor's coming back. You could forget about playing Zach Moss.
Yeah.
Also, don't be surprised if Jonathan Taylor is a surprise inactive this week.
Yeah, they're not going to make
really don't like him
until this weekend.
If the Colts really don't like him, they're either going to run him into the ground to shop him, or he'll be a surprise inactive this week. Either way, I don't care. They're playing Tennessee. We don't play running backs against the Titans.
I don't think he'll be inactive this week, but I don't know if he gets the Lions' share of the work this week. I mean, the dude hasn't really taken any NFL hits in a while. So, they'll probably be cautious with him coming off of the injury, but it's not going to matter because, don't start your running backs against Tennessee. It's not good for fantasy.
Don't start your running backs against Tennessee. Just don't do it.
Yep. Pittman, it could be a sneaky play at wide receiver.
Yep.
And if you need to save some money, maybe Pierce.
All right. So again, I don't want to go over every quarterback on this slate. Give me some other quarterbacks that you like.
I think to save a little bit of money,
if you
maybe
say Zach Wilson, you're fired because I also
I'll be all right with Dobbs.
I was going to mention him.
That's the only other one. Because look, I'm going to be real about it. This week, I am paying up for quarterback in most places.
Yeah,
but
Josh Dobbs hasn't been bad.
No, Dobbs can save you some money and put you up some points. It's not a terrible matchup this week.
I don't like the matchup against the Bengals defense personally, but I do want to try getting to a little Dobbs, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know, man. Right now, the Cincinnati they need to work things out. It's good. It's a
Mhm.
good time for a quarterback like that to take advantage of this stuff. And hey, if the Bengals work things out, then Arizona's going to be playing from behind anyhow, and he's going to be launching it. So either
So I
way, I
can't.
think it's a good little play if you need to save money at the quarterback position.
So I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think I'm going back to Daniel Jones this week.
Oh,
I know.
I mean,
I know. Our one viewer just turned us off.
I
It's
I think
Miami.
Stafford over him for a little
It's
bit cheaper.
Miami.
It is Miami, but
It's Miami.
I mean, dude's out
What?
there
Ho
with his
ho
coach
ho
throwing things at
ho.
him. I mean, come on. He's got to get
Um
it together.
why is Stafford coming in less owned than Daniel Jones this week? Am I missing something? I understand it's Friday night and we haven't got full projections running yet. Stafford's coming in at sub 5%. Daniel Jones just over 5%.
It's just a lot
What?
of people just haven't put their lineups in yet.
What?
It'll shift.
Oh, by the way, Burrow's coming over 10% owned, by the way. So if you think he's chalk, yeah, he's chalk. He might be the cash game quarterback. I don't know. I don't play cash. I hate to ask this, but what do you? We've talked about Josh Dobbs a bit. What are we doing with Zach Wilson against Denver?
Nothing.
It's the
Nothing.
Broncos.
Yeah, but
It's the
he's
Broncos.
just as it.
It's the
Yeah, but
Broncos.
that's not going to be the focal point of their offense this week. I don't think.
It's the
I think
Broncos.
the coach has come out and told us what's about to happen. I really
Yes.
do.
So, do you mean to tell me? And hang on, let me just do this for a second. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you mean to tell me that this possibly can't win a tournament?
It's possible. I mean, anything's possible.
Because then that gets me
Brees
Jefferson.
Hall, I really, really, really like.
Gets me Jefferson. It gets me Kelsey. Let's just punt to defense. Let's just take, I don't know,
Saints.
the Steelers at
They're
home.
cheap.
Let's get me another. Like, you mean to tell me this can't win me a GPP? This right here, or even just this, is not going to be a Millie Maker winner this week.
No,
it's in the range of outcomes. It's in the range of outcomes.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. Brees Hall is not a bruiser. He can catch the ball.
Oh, yeah. He can, but
Zach Wilson is 4,900. If he gets me 20 to 25 points, I will be extremely happy. Surtain looks just he feels defeated in this offense and in this defense with how bad they've been.
I don't know what it is.
Surtain looks as bad as he has been. Wilson is going to destroy him.
I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like Wilson gets you in your quarterback spot up maybe 15 points this week. I think they are going to lean on the running game a lot. They're going to play hide the quarterback. I really think they're going to play hide the quarterback because you could do that easily and win the game against Denver.
That team came out with massive amounts behind them. That team came out and backed him up last week, and that to me says a lot. They came out and backed him up. He's our quarterback. He did a good job. He helped us. Like, they said everything to give this guy a vote of confidence. Don't forget, Rodgers has still been in his ear. While he's recovering, he's still trying to mentor the kid. Zach Wilson didn't have this the last couple of years. And Rodgers has said he's going to rejoin the team. This is a Rodgers to me that I am very surprised is still as active as he is. I'll give him all the credit in the world. for as much as slanders we've heard, he doesn't want to train Jordan Love. Jordan Love looks great.
He
Maybe
needs
he's
somebody
going to
training
go look
some
at Zach
preseason.
Wilson and say, go carry my bags. He's coaching him up every single freaking week.
Yeah.
He's going. I understand this is in Denver. I understand that. I might take shots on Zach Wilson. I'm going to probably look. I play a 20 max. I might have 10% Zach Wilson with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. I'm going to have plenty of Breece Hall.
Oh, yeah.
I might have a little bit more Garrett Wilson. But Jerry Jeudy, you would have to think, is probably going to be shadowed by Sauce Gardner. And you would think that Garrett Wilson is shadowed by Surtain.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton may not be a bad play this week. He may be all right in this game.
Anything else in the quarterback position before we move on?
No, man. Listen, pay up for him this week.
I want to talk about CJ Stroud for a quick second. CJ Stroud is a good play. He's not a great play. Atlanta has been a much better defense this year. Much better. And I don't think they're getting enough credit. So as much as Stroud has been putting up amazing numbers, he has not thrown one interception yet. He's going up against Atlanta. Oh, he did well against Indy. He did well against Jacksonville. And he did well against Pittsburgh. I think Atlanta is going to prove to be an underrated matchup. I really do. So I am concerned about Stroud this week.
Yep.
From a DFS standpoint. If you have him in season long and you need him, you play him. I don't think Stroud wins someone a milli this week. I think I don't want to say Zach Wilson's got a better chance of winning someone a milli, but I would rather play Zach Wilson than CJ Stroud. That's how much I'm concerned about the Atlanta defense. I'm sorry. That I'm concerned about Atlanta. That defense got better. Way better.
Absolutely. I'm telling you,
the offense sucks, but the defense is really good.
7 moves in the offseason. Most of those starters on defense. All right. They put together something. The defense is good. The offense is so suspect. But the defense
I'm not saying the Atlanta defense, right. I'm not saying they're elite.
No, but they're good.
I think they're good. I also think they're pesky. I think Stroud's going to be good. Do I think he has a 25, 30-point ceiling in this matchup? No, I don't.
No. Yeah, I don't think it's a great week for him.
But you know what it is a great week for?
When I look at all of these, go to running backs. But when I look at all of these,
do you know who I think it's a good week for? Bijan freaking Robinson!
Yeah, baby. Yes. And
Bijan season is here. He gets the horrible.
He's doing it.
He gets the horrible Houston rush defense.
Absolutely.
You play lots of Bijan Robinson this week.
Yes.
My favorite running back on the entire slate. And this is my first look at the slate. But I can tell you from listening to some stuff already and just listening to other people talk, Bijan is my favorite running back on the week. I do not care. Saquon against Miami probably isn't going to play. Taylor most likely is going to play. Kyron against that Philly defense? No. I actually might have a little bit more love for David Montgomery than I do Bijan as the top running back on the slate. So Bijan's my second favorite running back on the slate. But how can you not be interested in Bijan this week?
Oh, no. This is a great matchup. Bijan, he's got the opportunity to kill it this week. Like, this is one of the guys that I think you do have in your lineup. Oh, excuse me. You do have in your lineup if you're going to win a lot of money.
Absolutely. Bijan is going to absolutely crush this week. There's really nothing else we got to say. And now I'm going to talk about my favorite running back play on this slate. David Montgomery GOAT. It's just something I randomly said at like one time, and I've just started running with it. I just kept saying it to myself because I thought Montgomery Goat was funny. My goodness, this guy has been dominant this season. If it wasn't for Raheem Mostert, like Montgomery smashed Green Bay's rush defense last week.
Oh yeah, and that's not a terrible
Carolina's
defense.
worse. They are one of the worst teams in the league versus opposing running backs this season.
Yeah.
I love David Montgomery this week at 6,600. I think I would prioritize Montgomery over Bijan if it came down to salary. Like, for example, if I need to pick between the two, right, and I needed the extra 1,100, if that got me a Tyreek, if that got me a Jefferson, if that got me a Kelsey, if that got me a Hawkinson, I would do that to get another one of those studs in a higher total game. I'd prioritize Montgomery over Bijan, but they're the two best running back plays on the slate, in my opinion.
They are. And if you can get both of them into your lineup, that's a good play, which I have done.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I've got both of them in with Patrick Mahomes, which I think
good times.
That's a good lineup.
Very good times.
Yeah, Montgomery's going to feast. Especially, you got to look at the injuries in this game.
Right.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's not going to play.
Right. So that's something we have to get into. Let's just get into the injuries for Detroit. And this is something that, in my opinion, is going to be a key to the slate. Now, why do I say is going to be a key to the slate? If we just take a look at Detroit real quickly at the flex, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown is 7,800. He's listed as doubtful for this game. He most likely is not going to play.
Yep.
So who does that leave next for wide receivers? That leaves Josh Reynolds. By the way, questionable. Okay?
They're saying now the outlook on his is better. He's already played through the
last 2 weeks.
Yeah, twice.
So Reynolds should play. The returning Jameson Williams. It's not injury related why he's questionable, apparently. So we shall see. I mean, if he's inactive, Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Marvin Jones. But
Marvin Jones.
It's going to be Sam Laporta. We'll get to wide receiver. We'll get to tight end. But this is so important because the other big running back news is Jahmyr Gibbs is questionable. If Gibbs can't go, you lock button Montgomery. And I don't lock button anybody.
You do. I think you almost do Montgomery already because
he was added to the injury report today, Friday. That's not a good sign.
And guess what? Montgomery can catch passes too. And he's going to get some targets. So like if you're on if you're in like a, half point PPR in a money lineup, that's even more so, even more valuable.
Yep. So again, Amon-Ra St. Brown is listed as doubtful. He's probably not playing. Jahmyr Gibbs is questionable. Added on Friday. That's not a good sign for any player. If you're good the entire week and you're added on a Friday, that's not a good sign, at least from an injury standpoint. Josh Reynolds is questionable. Look, he's had limited reps. He's played the last 2 weeks. Probably not a concern. Kabinda is out. Jameson Williams, again, it's not injury related. We just went over this. No idea what's happening there. If Jameson Williams plays, he's 4K. If Jameson Williams is out, if Amon-Ra St. Brown is out, hello, Khalif Raymond Chalk at 3,300.
Right? Not a bad one right there.
But, and again, we'll get to Sam Laporta. Charlie can swoon over his Sam Laporta love this week, when we get there. But that's where we're going when it comes to the Detroit news and why I say it's one of the keys to the slate. Let's just say, again, you talk about in fantasy football, talk about if-then statements. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out and everyone else goes, Probably not getting a lot of Jamison Williams. If Amon-Ra St. Brown and Williams is out, probably getting a lot of Khalif Raymond because they still got to throw to somebody.
Yep.
So it's in, you have to have your if-then statements ready. Have your stuff ready to go for Sunday morning. If this happens in inactives, then this is how I'm pivoting. That's how you want to look at it, because you'll have an hour and a half to finish lineups. So if you're not around, and let's say you do a 20 max or whatever, and you have dummy lineups ready to go, you need to have another CSV or other lineups ready to go to pivot based on injury information. So Gibbs is questionable. If Gibbs is active, I'm playing him. And I'll set a rule. I will set a rule. Lineups that don't include David Montgomery, play Gibbs in the other. That's just my initial thought. As I want Gibbs exposure, but the amount of Montgomery I'm probably going to have is going to be too much. So I may just want to get sprinkles of the other Detroit running back.
See, I don't know, man, if I use Gibbs in many places this week, because I mean, like we're sitting here telling you, Montgomery's going to get a whole lot of work, and Gibbs he hasn't quite shown it yet. He really hasn't. And I think there's running backs around his price point that are way, way better. I mean, I'll spend the $200 more and put Achane in my lineup before I think about touching Gibbs.
All right, well, let's just get into it. Raheem Mostert 6,200 and Devon Achane is 6,100.
Those two you can both start.
What the F are we doing?
You put them both in there if you want. They could both blow up again this week. They're going up against a soft run defense. They're both. Mostert's so efficient, and Achane is so talented. It's just,
he's so explosive.
Man, talk about a dual threat.
For me, I'd focus on Achane over Mostert.
Yeah, I would too.
I just don't think there's really anyone on the Giants that can cover him and his speed.
No, he could have a monster game.
I think Achane is the play over Mostert. And I like Mostert. I'm not saying don't play Mostert. Mostert will be in my player pool. I am probably prioritizing Achane. That's just me.
Even DraftKings doesn't know what to do with them. They're $100 apart right now. It's just like nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I can tell you,
but I think it's going to be Achane.
The projection system that I'm looking at has Achane way, way over Mostert, and it's not close by several points.
Yeah, because see, the thing is that he's got more of that. I think that big play capability, and that gets you big points.
Yep.
Plus just doing this regular running back stuff too. On top of that, guy's good.
What are you doing with Alvin Kamara this week? Last week, he had his re-debut off suspension, 11 carries, 51 yards, 14 targets, 13 receptions. That's where he made his money last week. Do not get fooled by it. They're going into New England with a hobbled Derek Carr who's questionable.
Yeah.
No.
So
I don't care that we lost Matthew Judon. We have a good interior rush defense. And that, I'm sorry, 13 receptions, that's 13 DraftKings points. Because 11 for 51 is not getting it done at 6,300. I'm sorry, it's not.
No, and what we know, one of the things that the Pats specialize in is taking away big weapons. And
you've
got a hobbled, Carr that you're not going to have to worry about nearly as much. So I think that they're going to focus on taking Kamara away more than they will Olave. They're still going to try to take him out too, but I'm not really
get J.C. Jackson back in a trade.
I'll be honest, man. The only ones that I'm touching in this whole game is the Saints defense.
Fair.
That's about it.
I mean, if you want to go Kamara Saints defense for the run back, that's fine.
Yeah. I look at it and I just look at those two juicy Miami running backs right under him, and I just don't see how you could choose him over Kamara, those guys at that price level.
Agreed. Joe Mixon, I'm interested in 6,400. Should have a nice workload against Arizona. Likewise, on the other side, James Conner pretty much is the Arizona offense. For the most part, Conner's interesting. What are you doing with the Kansas? I was just gonna say, what are you doing with Pacheco and the Kansas City running backs? I'm interested in Pacheco.
I mean, I think we're seeing it. Pacheco's the guy. He's going to be the number one guy. Got a little bit of the other dudes sprinkled in here and there, but he's the one getting all of the valuable stuff for the most part. He's got a decent matchup. I think they're going to utilize him a lot.
Yep.
I really will, because it's like we said earlier. There's Kelsey's the only main target that Mahomes has got. It's kind of whatever with the other receivers right now. Pacheco seems to be somebody that has Mahomes' trust, and I think that that's going to be valuable. So I've got him in a couple of lineups. I think he's a great little flex play this week. I really do. There's a couple other running backs that that I'm going to put over him in my running backs, but he's a good price for a flex, and he's got the potential, man. Any game that guy can go off. Any game, he gets you 20+ fantasy points.
Works for me. Let's talk about some of the value running backs, though.
Yeah.
All right. Have at it with Breece Hall.
Oh, okay. Well,
by all means, I'm just going to sit back and let you swoon.
All right, let me tell you what's going on. For $5,400, Breece Hall is going up against one of the worst run defenses in the league. Those guys are awful. They have one good defensive player. He does not have anything to do with stopping the run until Breece Hall gets way out to where he's going to be, which is probably going to be near the end zone, which is where he's going to catch Breece Hall. Because they've come out and they've told you, we're letting him loose. Letting him loose this week. No snap count. He is going to do the things that we were watching him do, and we were all so excited about, and while we all wanted him as our, top pick in our dynasty leagues and all of that last season, is showtime. It is showtime.
Absolutely.
And he can help you get other guys into your lineup, and he is gonna be huge discount this week for the point.
Breece Hall provides Breece Hall provides an amazing value. He just does. He provides an absolutely outstanding, amazing value this week. And there's something else that everyone really has to keep in mind. Okay? There are going to be people. Hi, I'm raising my hand. That very simply use Javonte. I will be using said player. Javonte has not been ruled out yet. One of the other big running backs in this range outside of Breece Hall is Jail McLaughlin. I think it's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, I think so.
Jail
I
McLaughlin?
believe it is.
Or is it Jaleel McLaughlin? Either way.
He's Jail.
Jail McLaughlin is 5K. DraftKings, kudos to them for boosting him up to 5K. If Javonte is out, Jail probably cash game lock.
Yeah. That if it is, that's only if Williams does not play. But yeah, because I mean he came in and he showed he's got some stuff. He's got a little juice behind him. So I think that that's a really good call right there. I also right in that same, if he doesn't play, if you need a $5,000 running back, the Gus Bus is going to be burning it down this week. A big, nasty rivalry game. There's going to be a lot of running. The Steelers' defense is good in some places, but it is not good in the places that Gus Edwards is going to go. I am all about him as well this week. These guys that are down here, like McLaughlin and all, these guys that are down here at this price range with a couple of sneaky wide receiver picks can get you, like I said, I've got Bijan Montgomery, Patty Mahomes, all in the
Yep.
same lineup. And that's how I'm doing it. I'm using some of these guys.
Yep. Other value running backs before we get to wide receiver here. Don't forget about guys like Samaje Perine, who's the other Denver running back. Don't forget about Tyler Algier. Guys like Ronnie Rivers, who is the backup right now to Kyron Williams. Zeke versus New Orleans.
Yeah,
I'm
Justice
really
Hill
not
is the
interested
other.
in. Yeah, I mean, look, just keep an eye on them. That's all I'm saying. Ahmed's is no longer a factor. You know, I'm just trying to see who else is decently projected.
I will
I'm not.
say this.
Yes, sir.
I think there's a good chance that Breida gets in the end zone this week.
Yeah.
If Saquon
if Barkley's out,
play.
yes, you play Matt Breida.
Yeah.
If Barkley out.
This will be a good week to play him. And hey, I got this. I had him in my props in the first week that he was in. I was like, this is the kind of game to set up for him to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
This is he gonna get a touchdown. I don't know if he breaks 100 yards, but I think he gets a touchdown. Never know. I mean, could even get 2, but I think he's a good cheap little play too as well if Barkley is out.
So we get it's a very loaded mid to low 5K range this week, which is probably where we're getting some of our value. I don't know if I'm going to drop below J.L. McLaughlin, maybe Jalen Warren, but I don't want to take a shot there. Like, again, there were other plays down here. I need to wait for those actives and inactives to come out on Sunday morning.
Yeah,
let's get on to wide
that's
receiver.
the thing. A lot of it this week is going to be you need to get on there Sunday morning. Well, look, most of us, we're going to be sitting around, hopefully watching the London game. You'll have some time. Hop on there. Pay attention to the lineup.
Have
see
some
who's
coffee.
in, say who's out. Make some adjustments.
You got it. Let's get into wide receivers.
Ooh.
And then we'll get into tight ends, and then we'll go over some of our favorite plays. We'll briefly touch on defense here. Again, this is a new format for us. We're just talking through some stuff rather than focusing on some games, just talking through some plays. Do we really get to mention Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill?
No, I want to talk about all kinds of cheap receivers. I'm living down into 3,000s this week.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, you play them. You have them in your player pool.
Yeah.
Now,
Hill,
Cooper Kupp, coming off IR. This is going to go away. He's going to play on Sunday. I don't know if I want to take the shot on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Might be in my player pool. I don't know yet. Again, I'm going to have Cooper Kupp in my player pool because of my Matthew Stafford stacks. But A.J. Brown against the Rams defense? Yes, please. Chase at Arizona? Yeah. But again, you have a cheap Matthew Stafford with an 8,600 Cooper Kupp and a 7,700 Puka.
See, this week, when I look at this list, the top 2 guys interest me a lot.
Yep.
A lot. But then after that, I'm not interested in anything else really until you get down to Michael Pittman. I've been high on Olave all year. I don't think he's going to have a great game this week. And Kupp, hey, in season long, he's playing. You start him.
Yes.
In DFS, we're waiting to see what he does and waiting to make sure that he comes back from his injury. Don't risk your money on that. In season long, though, you play him. If you have any reserves about putting him in your lineup, unless your starting wide receivers are Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson, you're going to play him.
Yep.
You don't have to think about it anymore. You put him in and you roll the dice. There's too much upside not to.
Same thing with Puka. Play him. Do not bench him. He's been too good. You play Puka.
I'm playing them both in one.
Yeah, again, last week, shout out to my friends over in the Raise the Roof for the RTR Discord. I forget which of them said it earlier, but I said it earlier in the podcast. Someone mentioned last night that last week the Rams started playing Puka on the outside, knowing they're getting Kupp back. So if they're experimenting with Puka on the outside, then Kupp and Puka are going to play together. That's probably the offense. Tutu's target share is probably going down. Higbee's is going down. Kyron may be going down. These two are target hogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
this is an air raid offense.
yep.
Make
Look,
no mistake about it. There's not much of a ground game to this offense. They're going to make their bread and butter throwing it to these two guys.
yep. Now, look, I don't mind taking shots on Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. They're not priorities for me. Michael Pittman versus Tennessee. Yes, please.
Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins versus Indy. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Garrett
that's
Wilson
going to be
at Denver. Yes. Zay Flowers at Pitt. Yes.
Yes, I like that one a lot. Zay Flowers may be a sneaky little play this week.
Yep.
He's only 5,500. That is not a bad. He's got. It just depends. I mean, this could be a slobber knocker of a game. It really could.
Or it could be a massive
These guys
slug of a
could
game.
just beat up on each other. But there's also a good shot that Zay Flowers comes out of this on top. He's got a good matchup this week.
He's their best wide receiver, not named Mark Andrews as a tight end. Now, Cortland Sutton is playable. Tutu's playable. Let's just talk about Jordan Addison real quick. And again, we apologize for running past 9 o'clock here. We had some audio issues to start.
It's my fault.
Last week at Carolina. Not your fault. Probably my fault. Probably both of our faults. It's all good. Last week at Carolina. 1 target.
I don't know if it's going to change much.
Addison has the upside. In a game versus Kansas City, well, they will need him. He's going to be in my player pool. I don't know if he's a priority for me.
Yeah, he's definitely not a priority.
Now, look, the other Minnesota wide receiver, KJ Osborne, 2 targets last week. He started off the season strong. 6 targets in the first 2 games, 3 targets in week 3, 2 targets last week. Probably going to play a pool. Probably not a priority.
I think some of that, too, was game script, though.
Also fair.
Yeah.
So, other players I'm interested in. I mean, you could tell me, stop me if you see anything else. Pickens is interesting, not a priority. Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown's interesting. Tank Dell I like this week. I'm going back to Isaiah Hodgins.
I really like, we got to get down a little bit lower in price.
I know. You can talk all about your 3K wide receivers.
Other than that, like, maybe
it's unentertaining.
Maybe Tank Dell this week. Maybe.
I think Tank Dell is more of a ceiling this week.
Forth on him.
I think Tank Dell's got more of a ceiling this week than Nico Collins.
See, maybe. I just feel like where they use him, that's more of a weak spot for the Falcons defense. And I think Nico may be seeing more. What's Terrell?
AJ Terrell.
Yeah. So
and probably Jesse Bates will probably get double covered.
Yeah. So I just think that maybe that defense leaves Tank open a little bit more.
Yep. Let's talk about the Kansas City wide receivers.
Let's talk about it.
I know. Talk done. Sky Moore is interesting. Kadarius Toney's interesting. Look, Minnesota is a terrible defense versus opposing wide receivers. I'll take shots on both of them.
Not interesting. It's not working. It's not going to happen for him in Kansas City.
I'm still sticking to it.
You know what? I'm telling you who it's going to be. It's going to be Rashid Rice.
Mm-hmm. We'll get there.
It'll be Rashid Rice.
Josh Reynolds. We talked about this already when we went over the Detroit segment. You played Josh Reynolds because ARSB looks like he's going to be out. You play Josh Reynolds. Valdez Scantling's interesting. Sky Moore's interesting. Tony's somewhat interesting. Osborne's something interesting. Bobby Trees, not this week. Slayton, interesting. Got utilized more last week, $4,100. Been getting more involved. Hasn't got a touchdown yet. Hasn't had a big game. Slayton's interesting against Miami. You need run backs. All right, Jameson Williams. Besides him, I'm not playing Marvin Mims. Let's talk about the 3K wide receivers.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
There's so many of them this week that you can use to help you get guys in your lineup that you get to pay up for, like Patty Mahomes. So Rashid Rice, I love this stack. I love Mahomes and Rashid Rice. If there's a wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs that gets a touchdown or two this week, it's going to be Rashid Rice. Rashid Rice is improving.
You mispronounced Taylor Swift.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Let me say something. Before a couple of weeks ago, and I told my wife this, okay? So before a couple of weeks ago, I probably could have counted on one hand how many times I'd actually seen Taylor Swift. There's no way I could have pointed her out. She could have been standing in front of me and I wouldn't have known. And I probably wouldn't have noticed her either. I don't get it. I don't get it. She's not that hot. I don't get it. What are you doing, Kelsey? What are you doing?
Oh boy.
Kidding me? I'm just throwing that out there.
Anyway.
Oh man, dude, Ryan Reynolds was better looking at that game than she was. Like,
all right.
Dang it,
back
man.
to football.
Oh. But Rashid Rice, I'm telling you, Rashid Rice is up and coming. Get ahead of this one while you can, because he's going to blow up this week. This is when it's going to happen.
So Rashid Rice is 3,600.
3,600.
Other cheap wide receivers I like: Alan Lazard, Van Jefferson. You could take. Well, no, not what Cooper.
I got another one that I really like:
Josh Downs, Michael Wilson, Jalen Hyatt.
Yes, Wilson.
Yep.
Get Wilson. So let's just pause for a moment and look at this right here. Let's look right around. Let's go back. So right over here, 26, 10,
back in
3,
time.
8. But if we go back and we look at all of the receivers right here in this price range, and we look at what they are averaging per game, you're only going to really see one that's in double digits. And it's this guy right here. It is Wilson. Tim, this guy is sneaky. I think he gets you double-digit points, and I think that if you're paying $3,300, $3,500 for a receiver, you get double-digit points. That is good. You can use this guy right here, and you can put him with the likes of a Rashid Rice, and all of a sudden you've got room to get Montgomery, Bijan, Patrick Mahomes, a high-end, tight end as well. So I think that this is sneaky. Him and Rice, it's the way to go. Throw yourself in a Pittman or something. You could have a very, very sneaky money-winning lineup for your wide receiver set.
No complaints here.
Yep.
So Michael Wilson again last week, 7 for 7 for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Can't complain. Westbrook Akine is interesting again this week. Treylon Burks, I think, is out. Calvin Austin's interesting.
Yep. Calvin Austin,
Paris Campbell's interesting. Justin Watson's interesting. There is a lot of cheap value at wide receiver this week.
Yes. Yes, there is. There's a whole bunch of guys down here that you can do 2 of, and it'll help you put together a superior lineup.
Yep. I mean, look, you can fit in your Jeffersons, your Hills, your Kelseys, your Hawkinsons. Plenty of this isn't just throw something at the wall and make it stick. There's good value down here.
Raymond, probably not a bad one to take.
Belief Raymond is playable if ARSB is out. I like him way more if Jameson Williams is out.
Yeah. Oh, if they're both out, then you definitely want to have some shares of him.
Agreed. All right. Anything else on wide receiver before you start swooning over your favorite tight end of the week?
No. Let's talk about the shiny new favorite toy.
All right,
Oh,
chat. There is nothing to say about the top 2 tight ends. Kelsey and Hawkinson, play them.
absolutely. If you can afford them, put them in there.
Waller, if you want to take the shots on him against Miami, play him.
I don't want to talk about Waller. I have him in
I know.
too many
Look,
season
I
long
faded
lineups.
him. I faded him in season long. I was
I
not a
did
fan.
not. I was on the Waller hype train.
I wasn't. Why? Why? When's the last time he played a full season? When was the last time he was fantasy relevant?
Yep.
And people are like, oh, it's a shiny toy. No. Shiny new toy. I'm back on Waller this week. I like the matchup. Sam Laporta.
Yeah, baby. Don't even look at that opponent
Harley,
rank
take it
on
away.
defense. Doesn't
Take it
even
away.
matter. I
Take
don't
it
care if Carolina is good at tight ends or not. Opportunity is still king. And right now, the way that it is shaping out, I think that Laporta is the number 1 wide receiver for Detroit this week. You got a whole bunch of banged up people. This is the Montgomery and Laporta show.
Hold on. Did you just say number 1 wide receiver over Reynolds?
This week? Absolutely. Laporta gets more fantasy points than any of the other pass catchers.
Do you want to lose our only viewer?
Just this week.
Our 7 viewers just left. They just
That's all
left.
right. They'll come back next week when they saw that I was right.
Oh, boy.
He's going to cook. He's going to cook. He's cooking with gas.
This is a really good Sam Laporta
fire.
week.
He's cooking with a big old giant pizza oven, everything. He's cooking this week.
I think Sam Laporta is interesting. Show. I'd prefer Waller to Laporta, but only if there aren't a lot of outs. We know Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably out. I need another player like Gibbs or Jameson Williams to be out for me to be interested in Laporta. Carolina's been a better. They've been a reverse funnel. They're bad against the run. They're good against the pass. Yeah. I think it's really. I mean, I'm not going to have Sam Laporta out of my player pool. I just don't know if he might be a forced priority for me come Sunday morning if those injuries are out, because they're going to have to throw to somebody, and Laporta is a big-bodied tight end who
he is very athletic.
I don't want to say he reminds me of Gronk, but doesn't he have that like aggressiveness like Gronk did when he played?
He does. He's fierce. That's the thing. He gets out there and he bangs these guys around. They're trying to take him down. He bangs these guys around.
Yep. Let's talk about.
He's going to get. If you look at his target share, that may double this week.
Especially exactly. Especially with Amon-Ra St. Brown being out, that might be all he needs, but that might be all Khalif Raymond needs to play in the slot. So again, we'll see. Other tight ends this week. Henry's too expensive. I can't do it against New Orleans. I don't play tight ends against New Orleans. Dallas Goedert, no. Yep. Higbee's okay. I can't believe I'm going to say this.
I like Schultz a little bit.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Jonnu Smith is the value tight end of the week.
Really? Okay. No, I you know what? I can get behind that some.
Over Hayden Hurst.
I can get behind that some.
I like Tyler Smith Conklin. Has sneakily done this. 0 targets in week 1, fine. 6 targets week 2. 8 targets week 3 against Detroit, who's been terrible versus the tight end. 6 targets last week. He's been really good and hasn't caught a touchdown yet. And you needed Jonnu Smith in showdown last week in London. Apparently. I think he's sneaky. I also really like Hayden Hurst this week. Detroit's been terrible versus the tight end.
I like Conklin this week.
Conklin or Hurst?
Conklin.
Conklin at Denver? Yeah, he's fine too.
Yeah.
So there are options.
He's kind of moving up a little bit. He's another one. He's gradually kind of getting back into this offense.
Yep.
And Denver's just not good. They're just not good.
So again,
they're not good against tight ends.
There are some value tight ends this week. If you want to take shots on Pitts, on Ertz, on Schultz, fine. I like Hayden Hurst. I like Jonnu Smith. I like Pitts, Ertz, Schultz. Again,
Schultz has a really, really good matchup.
Right. Again, so like those are kind of the plays. Let's wrap up this podcast. And let's get into it. 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a defense. What you got?
Patty Mahomes all day long this week.
Okay.
He's gonna blow it up. And if you don't want to use him, use Tua.
And those are your 2 quarterbacks?
That definitely.
Can't blame you. Paying up is definitely a way to get different this week. For me, it's Matthew Stafford 1. And I'm right in with you on Tua. Really tough to hate Burrow this week, though. On a bounce back week at 6,200. So for me, I'm going to go. I love the Mahomes and Tua calls. For me, it's going to be Stafford and Burrow as my favorite, as just 2 quarterbacks that I'm on.
I am with you on Stafford. I really am. Burrow's got to show me.
I know.
Me.
Running back,
ankle,
I think
I don't know, man. That ankle might be worse than we think.
Calf, but yeah. I agree. Man, I don't even think we need to go over running back. I think
got the same
knows. I think everyone knows our 2. I think everyone knows our favorite 2.
Absolutely.
Bijan and David Montgomery. There really is no debate here.
Do it. Put them in there.
No debate. Achan's interesting if you want someone different, and obviously Breece Hall we talked about.
And it's just fun to root for Achan. That guy's exciting.
Yep. He landed in the perfect spot for him coming out of college.
Yeah, he really did.
All right, wide receiver. Obviously, Jefferson's in play, Hill's in play, Kupp's in play. Taking those 3 out. Favorite wide receivers on the week? Give me 2. Or 2 of your favorites.
Aside from my 3,000K guys, I really like Michael Pittman this week. He's got a really good matchup. I think, they're trying. I know he had a bad game, but Richardson is trying to get him the ball. Yes. That is obvious. Richardson realizes how to utilize him, and he's working on being better at it. And I think that's starting to mesh a little bit every game. So he's good. His price is good. He's in this, he's like 64 or so. Yeah, 6,400 this week.
Yep, 6,400.
He's a really good one. And, we touched on Zay Flowers as well. I really like Zay Flowers this week.
Yep. So I agree with you there. Puka Nacua for me, 7,700. And Cortland Sutton just for the run back of the Jets. I mean, obviously I talked about my Jet stacks. I'm gonna have interest in Garrett Wilson this week. I think Sutton could go overlooked.
Absolutely. Hey man, I've been a supporter of Sutton since week 1.
Yep. Tight end for me is
potential.
Yep. Tight end for me is Hayden Hurst. Just because Detroit's terrible against the tight end. Or against tight ends. Who do you got? If you don't say Sam Laporta, I'm kicking you from this podcast right now.
It's got to be Sam Laporta, but
okay, I was gonna say
I also like Hawkinson a lot this week too, if you can afford him.
Okay, so you would prefer Hawkinson to Laporta if you had the money?
If I have the money, I think that Hawkinson is tight end 1 this week and Laporta's tight end 2.
Okay, but
and I think
Kelsey's
obviously
no
3.
pressure. But you really like Laporta this week?
I really do a lot.
Okay,
I think he's got his best opportunity this week.
I would agree with you. Kind of. I mean, again, we'll see. He'll have his best opportunity if those other players are out.
Yeah. It's all contingent on that. And if they're not out, then I'm all over Hawkinson.
Defenses, there's not much time about you go position by position. I like defenses at home in good matchups. I mean,
Saints this week is a good one.
Yep. I mean, shout out to my my buddy CJ Kaltenbach, aka the Siege. When he ran Arbor Pro, he talked about this a lot, and I think everybody's talked about play home defenses and good matchups.
Yeah, and try to save money on defenses.
Yep, I believe
that's where you're going to save money. Look, the range of points any given week between defenses isn't that much. You'll have 1 or 2 that might blow up. A defense gets 2 pick sixes or whatever.
Pick a cheap
but for the
defense.
most part, that's why I like this. I like the Steelers this week. I like the Saints this week. I think after the Rams, there's not. You don't want to pick a defense against Kansas City or against Detroit. Definitely not the Giants against Miami.
Nope. And there's plenty of value to get some of these other mid-range defenses this week. So I think the Steelers obviously is a good play. At home versus Baltimore, a divisional game. So
these games are defensive battles a lot of times between these two teams, too.
Yep.
They gut it out. They hate each other.
I think the Jets' defense is interesting on the road with how bad Denver's been.
Absolutely.
I
it's a
like
solid
the Saints
defense.
too. Yep, I like the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Saints
the
are good. I think the Saints are a good pick. I think you got to pick on that New England offense. It's not good.
If you're not playing Joe Burrow, I think the Cardinals are interesting. GPP only. Don't do it. I'm probably not doing it.
No.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, Colts defense at home versus Tennessee's fine. Patriots at home versus New Orleans is fine. There's just not a defense outside the Steelers I think I really, really like this week.
Keep in mind,
Lions, I guess, but they're so expensive.
When you are suggesting the Colts defense, keep in mind, though, that for some reason...
They have a terrible secondary?
No, it's not even that. We've lost to Tennessee 5 games in like a row.
Oh.
We can't beat them at home for some reason.
That's rude.
I don't know why. Yeah.
That's so rude.
It's tough. I was worried. I mean, if I wanted my team to stack up wins this season, I'd be a little worried about the game this Sunday.
Is what it is.
I want Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Colts. So
we're talking about that pre-show. If you're playing,
I'm going to will it to happen.
If you're playing in dynasty leagues, start racking up number 1 picks. I've said this before, and I will happy to say it publicly. I'll overpay for Marvin Harrison Jr. If it takes 3 firsts. Yeah. If it takes 3 firsts to land the number 1 overall this year, I'm doing it.
Man, it's a lot, but
in a super flex,
we get closer to the draft. I'd probably do that if someone's like.
I'm doing it right now while no one's thinking about draft season. I'm doing it right now while no one's thinking about the draft next year. If I'm not a contender, or even if I am, like I have Austin Eckler in the league, I would love to unload him for a first. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think is that special. I think he's a Calvin Johnson level-esque talent.
Absolutely.
In terms of, we're going to talk about him from a football standpoint as one of the best wide receivers in football, period, for the next 10 plus years. That's how good I think he is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, just want to kind of pick at what you had just said there too about trying to maybe like get rid of Eckler for him in Dynasty. That's what you want to do.
Oh, I've tried.
Trade the old for the new. If you can get it, trade the old.
I've tried trading Eckler
got to hit contender.
To the former league champion who looks really good again this year. He's not giving me that. He owns somehow what should be a top 3 pick, and he won't give it to me. I've tried.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows. I mean, he and I have talked back and forth about Harrison already. He and I talked back and forth about Harrison. But I have no shame in saying I will give up 3 firsts for Harrison. Because
generational talent.
He's a generational talent. And what I mean by that is if it takes 3 firsts in 2024 to give up, and I don't get to give up 25s, 26s, and I can land a stud wide receiver that I can keep on my team for, let's just say, 10 plus years, that's not going to look like a bad deal in the long run.
No, if you can amass 3 first-round picks for the same season and keep enough players to build around him, I think that's not a bad plan at all.
Because it's going to be quantity. If you can say, I give you 3 firsts for the 101, it's at that point, I'm banking on 1 player. You could hit on 3 studs.
Yep. Which that's not, I mean, most people are not going to turn down 3 number 1 picks. There are some people that might. If I've got the 101 this year, I might, because I want Marvin Harrison Jr. but it's
all you're going to do is watch film. All you're going to do is watch film. And the hype train with Harrison. Look, there is a legitimate possibility Williams goes 1 and Harrison goes 2 in the NFL draft. There's a real possibility of that.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
The Bears own 2 picks.
He's going to be better than his daddy.
The Cardinals own 2 picks. There was a real possibility they do that. It's a real possibility. Anyway, that's going to do it here for the Sizzlin NFL DFS podcast for week 5. Charlie, any last minute thoughts? Do you want to continue to tell us all about Laporta?
No, but you know what?
Play Laporta.
For y'all out there, y'all that have kids, just, remember to tell your kids that you love them. Let your kids know that they're supported, all right? Because you never know when that can stop something really bad from happening. That's all I'm going to say about it. Just tell your kids you love them.
Amen to that, brother. All right, for Charlie, I'm Adam. Good luck this week. If somebody wins a lot of money, let us know. Come back here and tell us. And by the way, we get 50% each. You all get nothing. We're kidding. Good luck. Go win some money this week, latest peoples.